Can I make you sign, Jonathan, to eulogize me after 120? You did it rather well. First of all, thank you very much to the Reichman University and the ICT for inviting me. My younger sister is sitting here as well. And I want, on behalf of everybody, to give a vote of thanks on behalf of the people of Israel to Minister Bar-Lev, who was here just now. Omer and I are opponents, quite on many issues, but I must say that he dedicated most of his years for the sake of the State of Israel and its security, a long service in the security forces, and I know him very well, and I have no doubt that he did whatever he did out of great responsibility, and when the benefit of Israel is his goal. And in democracies, some things are good and some are bad, but I think that the State of Israel needs many, many more people like Bar-Lev and others who are ready to invest instead of making money and for themselves, to invest in the State of Israel, its security, its future, and do it with integrity and faith. So I think he deserves a hand of applause. Terror, we meet in the practical arena, but winning it is on the awareness arena. Deterrence, for example, is an awareness term which is based on modern security. If we came to a situation that our enemy is not deterred and drags us to a Sisyphic struggle against him to pursue tigers who fled from their cage, is a Sisyphic task. And in that respect, deterrence is made in order to give them, not to give them a reason to attack us. But I think there's a much more important reason than deterrence, and that is decisiveness, victory. We have to talk about winning, not just threatening, not just containing, because if the enemy should be aware of the fact that going to war is going to be detrimental to it. I don't have too much time to tell you about all the principles of victory that I wrote about, but you're very welcome to it. But we're talking about a series of practical activities that cut the national hope of our enemy to understand that their efforts are worthless. Somebody spoke here that only when the Arab youngsters will have national pride, then things are going to be okay. So this is their national existence of the Palestinian, but there was never such a nation. There was never such a... the Palestinian National Organization was actually established against the Zionist movement and in order to annihilate the Zionist entity. There are Arabs like any other Arabs, but they live in the country as citizens. In that respect, the West and the State of Israel are making every possible mistake. If not for the weakness and giving legitimacy to the ambitions of our enemy, and also the willingness to dialogue with them and to find solutions, quote unquote, is exactly what creates their awareness, develops their hope, and moves the terror wheels. The sense of the West, who lost the faith and negates altogether the existence of definite truth, it is reflected in the same thing with Iran, and going back to the deal, and also in talking about national terms of Putin and leaving Ukraine to fight for itself against the Russian aggression. That does not give us any hope, and it reminds us again that we can rely only on ourselves and on God Almighty, who gives us the strength. This is, it looks, vis-à-vis Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Arabs in Judea and Samaria, and also the national entities that are growing in the Arab society in Israel. The roots of the Islamic radical nationalism and its war against Jews and the State of Israel are the same roots in all fronts, and they work the same way. And therefore, a victory and awareness has to be done in all arenas. If we talk about awareness, there's only one front. The Arabs are the same Arabs, the land is the same land, and the sea is the same sea. And this is a sentence I did not invent. And I want to say unequivocally that the security threat, which is the most dangerous for the State of Israel today, is from within. The one that we have in nationalists among Israel. Hundreds of thousands illegal weapons that, if God forbid, fall in the moment of truth against the Jewish citizens are a potential of a huge damage, much bigger threat than the Iranian threat. The Iranian threat, with all its proxies, is outside the borders of Israel. The security system knows all about it and knows how to respond to them. And we spoke a lot about it today, and I believe that we have a good response for these challenges. But from within, the danger is much more imminent, because some people are not ready to recognize the fact that it exists and talk about discrimination or separation between the extremists on both sides. But even after Guardians of the Walls, people refuse to recognize the danger, that maybe people do not have the awareness, and they feed into the aspirations of the enemy. And also, since we talk about a threat from within, that an operation, military operation, cannot happen, and that's much more complicated than awareness. Just imagine thousands of Arab rioters who just go wild in the middle of Israel and create a massacre all over. And you cannot use the same conventional tools as you do in the war. Unfortunately, at the moment, this is not, it's a horror scenario, but it's not possible. And we need to have an awareness with it that will negate altogether, with determination, any expression of Arab nationalism that negates the existence of Israel and identifies with those who want to eliminate it. This is a healthy instinct of a nation who came back to his country after thousands of years and recognize it. I think this is the most just and moral step that happened in the world in the last few centuries. The people established a new national home, and the sobering up and going back to this sanity, to this health, this is the source of the political strength of my party. As a first step in this cognitive victory, are the first to veil the against their hostile discourse against Israel and its definition as a Jewish state. There's nothing democratic to enable your enemy to strive to eliminate you under the auspices of democracy. If we talk about what Aharon Barak, the Chief Justice, said, this is the essence of Section 7 that negates the right to be elected of those people who are against the State of Israel. Same for the joint list of the Arab and also the Islamic movement as well. The last year was a maneuver in deceit, which was the biggest ever happened here. The attempts to hide, like Mansour Abbas says, takia. They hide Islamic radical extreme nationalism based on religion, which is more danger than the secular nationalism of the joint list. They want to take Israel and replace it with a caliphate. And It's not tomorrow morning, but that's the way they're thinking, the doctrine. That's the way they write it. This is the strive of the Islamic movement beginning in 1928. They say it and they write it and they preach it morning to night in the Arab language. And just as then with Yasser Arafat, who was known in the double tongue, that in English he would talk peace, but in Arabic he would incite his people towards terror. And here people blocked their ears and tried not to listen. Same happens today as well. This is the truth, even if it's harsh and it's difficult to understand. And the more we shut our eyes and hide our heads in the like an ostrich, then we know that we don't have the chance to prevent a very historic mistake. There's nothing that contributed more to the erection and to the national extremism of many of the Arabs in Israel than the former government. There's nothing more dangerous to the citizens of Israel. In the next government that we will establish, please God, after the elections, we are going to change this mechanism in a way that it will not enable people to ignore the law and order and to train again those people who are terrorists. These cause, first of all, damage to the Arab society in itself. They prevent its integration and they push it towards a struggle against the state of Israel. Because if it accelerates, it'll enforce us in the future to take military actions in order to defend ourselves. Actions that will have no other choice. We won't be able to prevent it. And they will retreat the Arab society decades back. The members of Knesset, the Arabs, at the moment, instead of advancing the civil issues of the Arab society, this lack of trust is reflected in the very low rate of voters in the Arab society. The day that the parties that are against the law will be eliminated, then the Arabs will be able to elect a different leadership. Once that accepts the ethos of the State of Israel as the state of the Jewish people and wants to improve the welfare and life of the Arab citizens. This is the way, and there's no other. Also to improve the quality of life and the integration of the Arabs in Israel, as well as taking away the very dangerous threat on us from within. Thank you very much.